Vernon Central High School. How may I help you?
I'm calling to help you, actually.
Really? I can use some today.
Aren't you cute? Okay, you have a live shooting situation in the cafeteria. This isn't a joke, okay? There are students with weapons in the lunchroom.
Hi everyone, I'm Dom Griffin. I'm a film critic and you're watching the Armchair Auteur. This is an ongoing video series I do where we talk about new movies, old movies, screenplay analysis, that sort of thing. So if you like movies and film culture and you like to see people pick it apart, please consider subscribing. Today I'm going to be reviewing the film Run, Hide, Fight from writer-director Kyle Rankin, which is a movie about school shootings. But this isn't exactly a movie like, say, Gus Van Sant's Elephant or Tim Sutton's Dark Knight or any other kind of film that deals with this violent American phenomenon from sort of an art house perspective. This movie is sort of meant to be like Die Hard. The film stars Isabella May as Zoe, a sullen teenager ready to graduate and leave high school in her rearview mirror, believing moving away to college will magically end her grieving over her recently deceased mother. The grief puts a strain on the two main relationships in her life, with her father, played by Thomas Jane, and her best friend Tristan, played by Eli Brown. The film's first 20 minutes or so does a pretty good job establishing typical teen movie drama and sets up like a handful of characters decently enough, but it's all just to kill time until the real movie starts, when a group of disaffected kids with guns and a van full of explosives take the school hostage and start picking off their fellow students and teachers. Because Zoe hunts with her ex-military father and wears his jacket to school, she gets to be the badass on the inside who has to save all her classmates. If this film sounds questionable, it should, because there's a lot of controversy around the film's existence, like at all. The film was originally produced by the production company Cinestate, which is an Austin-based right-wing leaning movie studio that has been mired in controversy before, and this is one of the last films they've made because they've sort of crumbled under the weight of all their own bad decisions, and now the film was sold to a new buyer, the Daily Wire, co-founded by Ben Shapiro. So this is the first time Ben Shapiro and his people are releasing a movie. I'll put links in the description below for all of the sort of controversy around this movie and its purchasing and all that stuff, and why I think a lot of people probably have issues with the movie right at the gate. My reason for wanting to watch this movie, I'll confess, is purely what I was hoping to be schadenfreude, because I fucking hate Ben Shapiro. I think everything he says, does, and thinks is fucking stupid. I think that he hasn't been stuffed in enough lockers in his lifetime, and I think that maybe we should like crowdfund like a really like expensive locker to put him in like forever. That's just my take personally, but I went in thinking, ooh, I want to see what kind of movie would make someone like Ben Shapiro think they want to personally release it to the world. So I went in assuming it would be just horrendous and terrible, and I could laugh at it. But one thing I pride myself on with this channel is being honest and being consistent and upfront with people. So I'm not going to like pretend I 100% wholesale hated this movie, because I didn't. There were things in this movie that surprised me, and I liked it more than I was expecting to. Run, Hide, Fight is pretty competently directed, and even though Project Greenlight alum Kyle Rankin overplays his hand on occasion, a little too in love with ominously moving the camera and overhead drone angles, he does a decent job of coherently dramatizing the film's narrative. Like, okay, even though the script itself has a lot of logical holes and strains credulity, from a purely technical aesthetic level, if someone had to make a movie that was just Die Hard but with school shootings, Run, Hide, Fight is solid enough at executing that. There's a handful of interesting decisions that I can get behind, like choosing to literalize Zoe's grief by having her dead mother, played by Radha Mitchell, talk to her throughout the film, a la Val Kilmer Elvis in True Romance, or the decision to set the film's events on senior prank day, helping to alleviate some of the suspension of disbelief at the adult's incompetence by tethering it to the relaxed environment and propensity for hijinks. I even dig May's performance as Zoe, striking the distance somewhere between the cheerleader from Heroes and Jamie Lee Curtis in Halloween. If anything good comes out of this movie, I hope it's her getting more work. And while I question Treat Williams' judgment for agreeing to play the sheriff in this flick, he's not so bad either. While I was surprised at liking some of those elements of the film, overall, I still didn't like it, and I don't think it works. Like, I'm no squeamish moralist, so I can't sit here and argue about whether or not it's ethical to make a movie that's like an action thriller about school shootings. Like, I happen to be someone who likes violent movies. I like action and blood and all that stuff in movies. Like, I'm into it. I am like the epitome of this clip.
Why the need for so much gruesome graphic violence? Why not let us imagine
because it's so much fun, Jan.
So like, obviously, I can't sit and like, you know, make a big ethical argument about this specific film, considering how many other violent action films I support and have always supported. But I also can't pretend like there's a difference between, say, the nonstop carnage in a movie like The Night Comes for Us and the plain, unstylized way kids get killed at the beginning of Run, Hide, Fight's second act. Rankin clearly intends to use the structure and iconography of Die Hard to make an action thriller, but still uses the kind of self-serving visual language of the art house picture to make this specific part of the violence brutal and discomfiting. You can practically hear an imaginary WWE commentary team using their Sato, Owen Hart death voices, gasping at every bullet spray.
We'll have more information as Monday Night Raw rolls on tonight.
And that runs antithetically to the tone of the film, which clearly wants you to be excited and root for Zoe as she fights back against these kids. Like, look, you can't have it both ways. You can't have the leader of your misfit murdering child squad behave like Heath Ledger Joker the entire time, like this is a comic book movie.
Trigger warning.
And then still dispense with loss of life in such an awkward and gauche way. Also, it's important to note that a lot of people are ascribing political intent to this film based solely on who produced it and who released it. And, like, I sort of don't always agree with that because you should judge the film itself, right? But watching the movie, it's obvious why those specific people chose to release this movie. Like, everyone involved knows what they were doing. Thematically, the movie exploits the right-wing perspective on school shootings at every single turn. The teachers all seem effete and ineffectual. The lone security guard is portrayed as such a little bitch the film takes time to show that he pisses himself at the sight of a gun. The shooter's entire plan is based around how crippling and useless school procedure for such emergencies is. And, ultimately, the only thing that wins the day is a girl whose daddy lets her play with guns, and that daddy himself showing up with a sniper rifle and magically finding the high ground. Seriously, the deus ex machina of your school shooter action movie fantasy involves an actor who literally played the Punisher showing up to save the day. It's clear what you're after here. But that said, I could have forgiven the film if it had the balls to really be a bloody, cartoonish exploitation flick in this setting. At least then I'd admire the brio. That the filmmakers chose to exploit these very real tragedies and couldn't even go full bore with their spectacle just feels like chicken shit posturing to me. Run, Hide, Fight is out on VOD. I do not personally recommend it. Like, I don't think a lot of people are really going to like it that much, but if this sounds like something you'd be curious about, feel free, support it at your own will. I just don't think it works, and I think that everyone involved is doing something kind of pernicious, and that the movie itself isn't really good enough to overwhelm my interest in not supporting those people. Again, I have to be honest, I liked it more than I thought I would, but it's still not really worth the hassle for me. I hope you guys liked this video. If you liked it, give it a thumbs up. If you have any thoughts about this film, or how punchable Ben Shapiro's face is, or stuff along those lines, you can do so below in the comments. I'll be there to join in. And if you have not subscribed, please subscribe. Hit the little bell icon to get notifications when I put out new videos. And yeah, I hope everyone's being safe, being good to yourselves and each other, wearing your masks, all that stuff. So I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.